Boys and girls, we are back again for another Truman Lake Fishing Intel Expert Roundtable Dinner here. It is about mid-April. We were hoping to get this done last week before the tournament, but it was just a little crazy. And as you can see, we're kind of on a skeleton crew, but we got two really good dudes to be in the skeleton crew tonight. We had several other guys that had to cancel last minute, had some family stuff come up, and hey, that's all good. That's life. That's the way it goes. And hopefully next month we'll have another 5 or 6 guys here, and we'll be talking fishing. But today we've got some expert anglers that you've seen before. Richard Bowling from Richard Bowling's Guide Service, Darren Langford, who just doesn't guide, but he wins a hell of a lot of tournaments, and he's a good one to have here on the show. So we're looking forward to hearing from him on the tournament from this past weekend. He was out competing in the Joe Bass and trying to find a spot to fish amongst all the other the high schoolers of 380 or however many boats there were. So a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Before we dive into it, we had another great dinner tonight from Nini's Italian Steakhouse and Catering. They're located down in Warsaw, Missouri. They help make these videos possible. If you are a member of the website and you visit them in the restaurant, you can get a free appetizer. So you just pull up your account on your phone, show it to them, and boom, you're in business. So be sure to visit them. And if you're have an event coming up, a wedding, a party, whatever, and you need some catering, they've got some great stuff there as well. So be sure to check them out for that. Anglers Port Marine, of course, is one of the other companies that helps make these videos possible. Anglers Port Marine is located right between Clinton and Warsaw on 7 Highway. They are a premier Lowe, Phoenix, and Camas boat dealer. So if you're in the market looking for some boats, best head on down and visit them. They've got quite a bit of stuff on the lot right now, actually. I'm sure that won't last long. I'm sure some of them are already sold, but that's just the way the boat market is. It's if you're wanting to get a new boat, design your boat, and have it built and delivered. I mean, what is it, 6 to 8 weeks?
Mine was 4 months.
4 months, and that's all over the country. So if you're thinking about it and you want an excellent professional crew to walk you through the whole process, Anglers Port Marine is a great option to give them a call, and they'll help you quite a bit with that process. So be sure to check them out. We are here. It is mid-April. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. So I guess we'll just dive into it. We had some massive tournaments this past weekend for the bass, kind of the first kickoff. Folks that are members, you'll notice on the website, you know, during the wintertime, crappie and catfish are primarily the reports that we cover because Truman's not necessarily a bass lake. It doesn't start taking off until right about now. And of course, the crappie, everyone, if you've been on Facebook, you've been in any of the groups, everyone's posting, when's the spawn? Is the spawn on? Is it on? Not quite, but we're going to talk about the stages of the spawn tonight. And but before we get into that, I just kind of want to get a quick high-level overview of kind of how the fishing has been here the last couple weeks. And I had the fortunate opportunity to get out with Richard and just see him in action these last couple days, and got to see firsthand it's been lights out.
It's been good. You know, these crappie are setting up for the pre-spawn. They're in the creeks. They're from the front of the creek to the back of the creek. Some creeks midway. Every creek's a little different, but man, the bite is good, as you see. Mm-hmm. We keyed on 12 foot of water, 7 foot of water, all that in between.
Yep.
Every creek's different, but every creek is full of fish.
Yeah. It was pretty incredible. Now, we searched around a little bit because you had fished down lake earlier in the day, if I remember correctly. Wind changed, and that's a big deal where it's like, well, especially today. I know you had to battle those winds today. And it's about how the hell do we get out of the wind? And so we went up lake. Yep. And found a creek up there that, pretty big, well known, and started at the mouth, and we weren't seeing what we were looking for, but we didn't have to go very far. And
back, halfway back?
Yeah.
And it was just fish after fish. I mean, at any given time, there would be 3 good fish on the live scope, besides all the other fish you're looking at, but of course you don't drop on every fish with a live scope, you key on the big ones. I'd say that you and I and Jim probably covered 300 yards of water.
Yeah.
And looked at thousands of fish, but kept your 30 fish, and seen a lot of big fish that didn't bite, but you guys caught some good ones too. Yeah. It was, it's fun, man. You get out there on that live scope, and
Jim hadn't had a chance to use that before. I know he was pretty impressed, but it does take some getting used to because you're looking at it and you're seeing your bait there and you think it's in the right spot, but the boat's moving, the trolling motor, Richard's keeping the trolling motor positioned on that fish.
And the fish is moving.
And the fish is moving and you're trying to watch the screen while holding your rod out, and you're not necessarily, if you're not used to it, your hand and the rod is not keeping pace with.
You're not seeing your bait.
Yes.
So my clients say, I don't see my bait. Well, I know you don't see your bait. That's because I moved the cone a little bit, and the fish is sitting here, so you're still here. So the fish is one over here, so you're out of the zone. So I'm saying right, which you got to move pretty quick to get back into that zone. But once you get in the hot zone, I call it, the fish looks like a big ball of fire. Your jig on the side of that cone looks kind of dull. When you get in the middle of that zone with that minnow or jig, whatever you're using, and it's hot and the fish is hot, you're going to catch that fish.
Yeah. Well, and I think there was very few that when we made a good drop on them, that there was one or two that I remember that we played with that didn't want to play, but they were the bigger ones.
Right now, and I preach this to all my clients, you make a good drop, you're either going to spook that fish or you're going to catch it. 99% of the time, a good drop, it's not because they're wanting to eat, it's because they're reacting to that bait. You run it down to their face, and they shake, they drop down, they come up and eat it just real quick.
Yeah.
If you just swim it in there nonchalant, odds are you're not going to catch that fish.
Yeah.
You got to be quick, on them, out, on them, out.
Yep.
I've taken a lot of people. I don't guide too much, but I take a lot of people out, and they're always leading that rod. I just tell them just pick it up and redrop.
Yeah,
If you lose it out of the cone, it's better just to lift it and redrop.
In case they're pretty close to, if that fish is say 10 foot out and you drop it, you hit it 5 feet, that means you've got to push 5 feet to that fish. That fish can move 10 foot, so it takes longer to push to it than pick up and re-drop on it. That initial drop, you make good drops, you can catch 15 fish in a row. That's what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Because even though they're not wanting to eat all of them, you're going to shock them. It's a reaction bite, kind of like buzz bait. They're going to come up and get it and gone.
Yeah.
So live scopes are lost.
Yeah. We were talking about this before we started. We had one of our members submit a question about the new live scope transducer, what its impact is going to be on crappie fishing. Is it going to be a noticeable benefit? Do people need to be looking at making the switch? Where's the pros and cons of it? And what are your guys' thoughts on it?
My opinion is you don't need it for crappie. Bass fishing, walleye fishing, yes, because I think it's made to see out further, throw your
Clear
jigs,
further.
and for fish on the bottom. It's an LVS 34 thing.
Yeah.
Mine, and I've talked to a few people that has got them. They got them quick. I don't think it's going to help the crappie fishermen. I don't, because a lot of times, crappie, if they go to the bottom, they're not there long.
Yeah.
You'll see them. We caught some today on the bottom. They're there for a second and they come up. So I don't think for $1,200 it's worth the change.
Yeah. So LVS 34, for those who don't know, like what does that even stand for? What does it mean?
I don't know what the LVS is or the 34, but I know it tightens up. It's supposed to be much clearer out further for
Okay.
the bass guys, casting out 50, 60 feet.
And bass guys will run that 60 foot and do that
Long
surge.
casts. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they'll make long casts to them.
Yeah.
And they want to be able to get that bait down, see it, get it to the right depth before they get to the fish.
Got it. Is it the same cone angle?
Same width.
Same width?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just see on the bottom better and further out.
Okay. Gotcha.
I don't think for crappie it's going to help.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, that kind of answers the question, and I know you've talked to some people that are running it, and if you guys have been thinking about it, got a couple extra opinions on it right now.
And I think that transducer alone, not black box, the transducer is $1,200.
Yeah.
And then you've got to update your black box. So anytime you update something, just like your phone or anything, is it better
Yeah.
or is it worse? It's a chance you take. So
It's a change.
Yeah,
You got to get used
yeah.
to the change.
And sometimes change ain't good.
No, my phone's updated and it put my little scroll box down at the bottom and
Yeah.
that just wears me out.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for it at the top.
On my new Garmin, I have not. My new boat, I've had it for 3 months, 2 months. I have not updated my new graph, and I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Because I've updated several, and some are good, Some are not real good. So I can catch fish in 1 foot of water. I can catch fish in 30 foot of water. So I'm not going to make that change. So
Yeah.
I think the only time you really need to update is if you're having problems.
If you're having problems, yeah.
If you're having problems, if it's not broke, don't try
Yeah.
to fix it.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Every time there's an update comes out I think
Yeah.
every 3 months with Garmin, and it's just trying to improve something. But sometimes it don't improve stuff. Just if it's working, leave it.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, there you go.
You need an update.
Yeah, you need to update it now for sure. So we touched on crappie. We're going to get back more in detail in crappie here in a little bit, but I wanted to switch over to Darren on the bass side of things. If you're a pro member, you've seen his report from the trip he had on Sunday. They had a pretty decent day, missed a couple of good ones that probably would have got you up there. Where
Broke the 2 cardinal sins,
Yep.
left them, and lost them.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 L's. That's the worst thing you can do in a tournament.
So, yeah, why don't you, so you were telling me that cardinal sin, don't leave fish to find fish. I guess it's a common cardinal
Yeah.
sin that we've heard in tournament fishing.
It's one of my big rules, and Hunter knows it when we crappie fish, because if we're catching good fish, I won't let him leave.
Correct.
I make him stay right there, even if we don't catch one for an hour, we still stay. And it's paid off, and sometimes it'll burn you, but really, I got thinking too much. This tournament was on me. I mean, I'm not saying we'd have won it,
Yeah.
but we'd have been a little higher than what we was. Like everybody, I'm sure everybody does.
Yeah.
You know, everybody loses a fish here and there, but the mental part's what aggravates me more than anything.
Yeah.
I made a dumb call by leaving fish that was biting,
Yeah.
and I just didn't think they were big enough for springtime on Truman. I mean, it should have took 20 plus pounds to win that
Yeah.
tournament, especially with them anglers. I
Yeah.
mean, there's some King Kongs in
Yeah.
that thing.
And it was 1775 that ended up winning.
1775, and I mean,
You guys
and
had
the only reason really the guys that had the 17-pound stringers all had 6-pounders.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
other than that, it dropped down. There's a whole bunch of 16s. I mean, we had 1490, and we finished 17th. But you know, we didn't have anything over 3 pounds.
Yeah.
We had one over 3 pounds. The rest of them was right at 3 or a little less.
Yeah.
You know, and we were catching them immediately. I mean, and we basically had what we weighed by 9 o'clock. But the weekend before, that wind got to blowing, and I got to catch them on a crankbait in that wind, and I preach it. In the springtime, bass fishing, get in the wind, stay in the wind. I know it's rough and pain in the butt, but get in it.
Yeah.
And that's what triggers them fish. But the weekend before, they got on fire about 1 o'clock in that wind, and I was just sitting there the whole time going, man, these are bonus fish. I mean, we might cull all these out because it's 20-pound stringer time. And we left them, and I run up in that dirtier water where that wind was really kicking on some spots. And we caught a couple, we caught some keeper fish, but that was it. But I got up there and I noticed that the water temperature had dropped 2 degrees, from that cold Saturday. I'm guessing it was that cold Saturday. The water never recovered. It was 54 the weekend before, and it was 52 then, which you don't think that's that much.
Right.
But in the spring, that's a lot.
Yeah.
In the summertime, 2 degrees isn't going to do that much to it, but in the spring, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And we left them when we should have never left them.
Yeah.
And caught him on a jerk bait. He's back to jerk bait fishing, which a lot of people think that's over, which most of the time it is. But this lake, sometimes that jerk bait extends through even to the end of April. I mean, I fished a Pro-Am one year, caught 21 pounds or 20 and some change on a jig because I thought the jerkbait bite was over.
Yeah.
And it was a Pro-Am, and I really thought I had a tournament one. I mean, that's a pretty good stringer for Pro-Am, especially on Truman. And went in and took 4th or 5th. I mean, these guys, they smoked them on a jerkbait, and it was mid to the end of April. So, I mean, sometimes they get on that thing, especially if you have changes, that water temperature keeps fluctuating. Then fish they want that subtle, more finesse type bite.
Yeah. Now, on your jerk, because everyone seems to have a different method to their madness on how they're retrieving the jerk bait on Truman or Lake of the Ozarks, wherever it is. On Truman, I mean, is it jerk, jerk, pause, or are you taking some time between the pauses this time of year?
Not too much. I usually, I mean, I don't count.
Yeah.
Now, in the wintertime, sometimes I will. If
Yeah.
I'm fishing, the fish are a little deeper or whatever, but I pretty well don't count anymore. And that live scope's kind of giving that away too. Them fish, if they want it, they'll eat it.
Yeah.
You don't have to pause that long. I do give it probably a, 3 or 4 second pause.
Yeah.
Just pop, 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 pop. But I try not to move the bait very far.
Yeah.
I might move it more, but I'm not moving it very far.
Yeah.
Just short, just pop, pop.
Yeah. So it's not.
No, it's just probably a 3-inch.
Yeah.
Just enough for the bait to just twist a little bit.
Yeah.
And I want to do it a couple times. Don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only bite I caught a 277 Kentucky right off the bat, first fish, and I mean he like wow, big old fat thing, but I didn't feel any of the largemouth.
Yeah.
You'd pop it, and then when you went to pop it the next time, they were on it. They
Yeah.
were loaded up, and a lot of them were on the side of the face, and that. I did way too much thinking in this tournament instead of fishing. Because when I seen that, when you'd hook them and their hooks are all on the side of the face, and there's not a hook inside the mouth, they're not real aggressive on it. And that could be color of the jerk bait, but they were hitting it. I mean, they were eating it, getting enough of it, I'd catch them. I did lose one real good one first thing in the morning, and then, but. So that told I just kept thinking, okay, they really don't want this. As soon as that wind kicks up, they're going to switch to that crankbait again and spinnerbait, and we're going to light them up.
Yeah.
And I just kept telling myself that and just talked myself right out of it.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of running around for 3 or 4 hours trying to make a big one bite or 2 big ones bite, and we should have just stayed right amongst all the youngsters and just kept fishing.
Well, and I know you said that several of the other top teams in Joe Bass were throwing jerk baits.
A couple of them was. I talked to a buddy of mine that knows guys, I believe took second. And they said they threw jerk baits pretty well.
Yeah. At the high school weigh-in, the second day, there's 380 some odd teams. I'd have to go back and look at the results because I'm going to post that up there at our website. I wouldn't be surprised if not even 100, 150 teams weighed in. But the ones that did, I think it was $15.99 that won the high school division on Sunday, and then the junior high was like 13 something, I want to say. But spinnerbaits seem to be the go-to for those guys. Quite a few teams are talking about throwing swim baits as well.
A lot of them teams are from down south.
Yeah.
So they throw a lot of swim baits down south. And there's guys throw it here too, but water's not as clear as it is down there. So sometimes, I don't know about swim bait. I don't throw a lot of swim baits here.
Yeah.
I might be missing the boat. I don't here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was just kind of interesting. I mean, I know it was windy out there. I mean, what was it, 30, 40 mile an hour gusts?
Yeah, it was rolling.
I mean, it was miserable just at the weigh-in I haven't even looked at the video yet. You guys are going to see it. I don't know how the audio is going to turn out, so I apologize in advance, but it's probably going to be pretty windy.
I do got to give some props to them young boys. They stayed out there and hammered it. They were getting beat up by them waves, and polite and nice, and you had to talk them into coming and fishing in front of you.
Yeah.
They would swing way out around you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to tell them, just keep coming, just come right on.
Yeah.
And they just, and I told a couple of them, that I seen, they'd seen me catch fish, and I told them, I said, put jerk bait on. That's what I'm catching on, jerk bait, and they changed, and I don't know if that helped them or not, but they're learning.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of anglers.
Well, and the jerkbait was good, and you were getting back in the creeks a little bit, into those secondary pockets.
Well, I got back in one secondary pocket and I got the live scope, and it's full of cedars, and it's a good spawning pocket. And I got the live scope in it, looking to see, because I really wasn't catching anything on the bank, so I was seeing if they moved out and were suspended in them cedars, which I've caught them there before early in here. Well, I was seeing fish, but I never could get a good look at them, but I could tell they were bigger fish. Well, next thing you know, I started catching stripers in 3 feet of water.
Yeah.
I'm like, my goodness, just swallow that thing. I had 10 pound. I had 2 10-pounders and a 15-pounder in the back of the pockets in 2 to 3 feet of water.
Yeah.
It was just unreal. I was like, oh my, that's a handful on your little crankbait rod.
That had to be. I mean, they had to be pulling some drag a little bit.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
think. That's pretty friggin' fun. And to that point, I on Saturday went down to the Palmy Arm, pretty far up in there past Saps Landing, and at a certain point in the spring, and this goes for pretty much any lake that has a major creek, river feeding it, those white bass and the hybrids they'll make a run pretty far up there. We've done that up at Longview and Lee Summit, Missouri, on some of those little creeks, and you get way the hell back in there off the beaten path from the bank and just slaughter them. And you can do the same thing on Truman in the Palmy Arm. We were a little early. Didn't quite see them there, didn't see any flashes in the riffles, but we will have some reports out here, hopefully in the next 10 days, of kind of letting you know when it's on down there. And that was pretty cool to see. Really cool area down there too.
Yeah.
Now we did have another user submitted question, member submitted question about the Palmy Arm, and it was I believe just kind of asking about, as we get further into summer, we're still in the spring, but it was basically what the general pattern is for bass in the summertime on the upper Palmy Arm. You know, the Palmy's a popular place to go bass fish. It can be a little treacherous getting up in there, but wanted to get your thoughts if it's square bills, creature baits, you know, or you're targeting the mud flats. I mean, what's your general thoughts on fishing the Palmy Arm as we get into the summertime?
Well, the summertime's when I think the Palmy Arm's the best.
Mm-hmm.
But I usually get up there, and I do throw a lot of square bills. Now, I don't throw them. One thing about square bills is I don't throw them till the sun gets up.
Mm-hmm.
I think them fish got a position on them trees and on timber or stand-ups, lay-downs, whatever you're fishing. But big worms and jigs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll go. I really don't throw anything else up there.
Yeah.
I throw a brush hog a lot in the spring and maybe midsummer.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get off of it towards the end. I go switch to a worm.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things a lot of people throw the big worm, and sometimes you just need to drop down to that 7.5 inch worm, and that'll make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
But that's a great baits to fish up there. But fish really in the summertime, not too much on the channel swings, but they're on them flats with the ditches, the little tree rows.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ditches up there that come out to the channel that got little tree rows down the center of it.
Yeah.
And that's what we fish. And you'll throw square bills or worms or jigs. You just throw one of them. And once you figure out what they want, just stay with it.
Yeah.
I've been up there before where I threw square bills and you'd catch, well, you wouldn't catch them. They'd bite it and they'd come up and you'd see they barely had the back hook or one little barb and they'd spit it out.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it might be a partly cloudy day or you need that sunny day or something. But you just switch to a worm or a jig and they eat it big time. But that's what I concentrate on. Flats with ditches or tree rows in them.
Yeah.
You know, not so much points.
Yeah.
I look for the flats with little ditches and little tree rows on them.
Got it. Well, and obviously there's a lot of tournament anglers that are well aware of how good the Palmy can be. Mm-hmm. For those guys that are watching it that are, you know, you're just recreational guys, you don't really care about fishing tournaments, you want to go catch bass, you know, it's a great arm to fish. There's several access points. I mean, Osage Bluff, if you want to start really at the bottom of the arm, the Avery Bottoms access, there's an access point there you can put in a boat. Saps gets a little, the water level's got to be up, I think, a decent amount to be able to go back. It gets pretty narrow up in there.
It's narrow. You can put a boat in there, but it's just a road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
Hey, you can put a bass boat in there, but if there's very many people there, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, tough.
The only time I've ever used saps is when I had a mechanical problem.
Yeah.
That was a lower unit missing.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's a problem. But for those who might be kayak anglers, those are great launch points to get in there and fish. So we do have more and more kayak tournaments coming to the lake every year. So those are good options to think about if you are going to be fishing here in the summertime. So, yeah, well, that's good stuff on the Palmy Arm. You know, we're still here. It's in April. you know, the question on everybody's mind is the spawn. I know you said the bass they were ready to move up. It seemed like you said
They're like the crappie, but they'll be behind the crappie
okay,
a little bit.
yeah,
Usually.
got it. So as far as the crappie goes, Richard, where are we at in the cycle, and kind of take me through what it's going to look like over the next several weeks.
Right now we're about a week and a half out. It's
Okay.
going to happen around the 20th of April, of course, around turkey season. All these fish are in these creeks, and the reason they're in there, they're setting up to go spawn. And every creek, like I say, is a little different, but man, some of them fish are in 7 foot of water. And today I was in a creek down the lake, and the water is cleaner, and they were crawling like fleas, but they, a lot of small fish, keeper fish. So I'd say within a week and a half, I hit 55.5 degree water at 3 o'clock when I came in. So it's getting close, but we need more warm nights and more sunlight. So probably a week and a half it's going to happen.
I know you said April 20th. Is there a what's the magical water temperature? 65?
60.
60?
Yep.
And so when it's 60, they start going in waves because it's not all at once.
Not at once. It'll be in waves. You can pull into a pocket of a morning and fish around it, and the water temperature be, of course, no live scope. Water temperature can be 58, 59, and not get a bite. And that's early in the morning. You can come back in the evening, 3 or 4 o'clock, sun been in there all day and no wind, and it'll be 61 and load the boat in a hurry. They can move up they're there, they just got to move up.
Yeah.
So 60, 59, 60, 61, that's your key temperature to catch them up on the bank. And like I said, if you move in early and it's not warm enough, come back later if there's no wind. North banks or north creeks are the best starting out. And then it'll start in the upper grand and it'll move right down the lake. And it'll be at different phases. It'll last, you're going to have 2 weeks of fishing the banks if you like doing that. And I love it. There's watching a cork go in, there's a lot of fun. But instead of fishing the banks, I live scope off of the bank, stay in 7, 8, 9 feet of water and catching females or the males that's going in, females going in and coming out. And you're not fishing behind boats that way.
Yeah.
So we're getting close.
Yeah. Well, and in general, the upper grand, but it's kind of like the same thing if you're in the upper Osage.
Sure. Yep.
It's
upper
ends of the arms.
And it moves to the dam.
And so by the first week of May, it's getting to the lower end.
Yep.
And that's the end of it right there.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
So, sometimes they'll move up quicker down there, but a lot of times they'll move up, they'll move right back up.
Yeah.
Marvin Deckard used to be one of the best guides on Truman Lake. I can remember his birthday was on March 31st, and him and his wife went out and they was in the upper grand, and they pulled into a pocket up by the power lines. Yeah, they never caught a fish early, and he's coming back. This is a really nice day like today, and caught their limits of fish out of one pocket. They moved up that quick. The water was that warm. That's in March. And then it was 2 weeks later before they showed back up. They weren't there the next day at a cold front. So it took 2 weeks, and then everything started moving up. So, you might find a pocket that's got warmer water and catch them, but they're not going to stay.
Yeah.
Not early.
What are people looking for as far as a pocket goes? There's a bazillion pockets on Truman and creeks to choose from. So how do they narrow that down?
I like a flat pocket with timber.
Okay.
I like if I'm throwing a jig, I like to throw it up in a mud flat, just goofy looking bank. Bring that cork out in 2 foot of water by a big old stump, and a lot of times if you catch one, there's going to be a bunch of males there. And here's what you can do: you can catch 8 or 10 males, and maybe catch the female, depends on time of day or that day, and go around the pocket, and within an hour, that same nest is going to load back up with males. So it's not. You're not going to catch them all and leave. There's going to be more come to that nest. So I like a flat pocket with a little pea gravel, a little mud, not a steep bank, just a kind of shallow tapering bank, and cover water, cork, a lot of fun.
It sounds like to me the afternoons are kind of what you're shooting for based on...
Yeah, because of course you got the sunlight.
Yeah.
It's going to be warmer, but I'm an early morning guy.
Yeah.
I like to get up here, the turkeys
Once a
gobble.
spawn starts, though,
Yeah,
you can catch them pretty well.
Okay.
And think about it, the later the day you're going to go,
Yeah.
and spawn, you're going to be fishing behind a boat.
Yeah.
So you might pull into a pocket and there'd be 3 boats coming out.
Yeah.
So it's just a rotation. And that's the reason I like to do the live scope.
Yeah.
And I love to watch that cork go under, but when there's 100,000 boats on the water, It's more fun live scope.
Yeah.
You know, and when we talk about pockets, you know, everybody thinks a cove
Yeah.
is a pocket.
Yeah.
It might be in a creek or just a little indention.
On the
Not,
lake.
I mean, not a 20 or 30-foot indention that just changes to pea gravel.
Yeah.
That's got some timber around it. One of my favorite spots is nothing but mud. It's all mud. And there's a little dinky indention. That's probably 40, 50 foot long. That's just pea gravel.
Yeah.
In one little spot, and the rest of it's mud all around it. And I mean, they load up in there, and you can just smoke them there. I mean,
Yeah.
catch 50, 60, 70 fish right there in that one little spot.
Yeah.
All on corks.
Yeah.
Off 5 or 6 trees. It's like he's saying. It's just crazy.
And are you throwing minnows under the cork or jigs or
That
what's?
time of year, you
Just
just
jigs.
throw jigs.
Yeah.
You can throw a jig head.
Honestly, what I do, I mean, and it's just me. I throw weedless jigs. I mean,
There's
I
always
don't.
buck brush out
There's always brush, and you can drag it over that brush. A lot of times, you get it by a stump, and they'll all be piled underneath the same root. But when you drag that, if you use a weedless one, you drag it over that root, and boom. I mean, as soon as it comes over, you'll see that cork start to stand up, and it's boom, gone.
And minnows work good, but you know they're not up there eating. They're up
Yeah.
there guarding that nest.
Yeah.
Something looks like they're coming to get the eggs. They're going to kill it and move it. They're just picking it up, moving it.
Yeah.
You catch it, pitch it right back in, and
Black and chartreuse, blue and white. It really
blue
does.
and white's a real good one.
Yeah.
But they're not up there eating. They're up there to kill whatever's coming in that nest.
Yeah.
Move it out of the nest and drop it. But of course that cork goes under. You're gonna let them have it.
Yeah.
It's about as fast to action as you can have if you're not fishing behind a lot of boats.
Yeah. Yeah. So April 20th, it'll last a couple weeks, and then you're pretty much done. You said the bass come in after that.
Well, the bass are a little different than crappie. They like it shallow. Like right now, they're up shallow. Fish are pretty shallow, but I think they're up there. You know, crawdads are starting to come out, and that's probably what they're keying on.
Yeah.
Even though they were biting the jerkbait.
Yeah.
But the weekend before was all on crawdad color crankbaits, which mimic crawdads.
Yeah.
And that's what I think they're up there to do. They're
Got
up
it.
there eating crawdads.
Yeah.
But they're up there now. They'll just get on the nest, usually a little after the crappie.
Yeah.
Not right. They're a little bit behind them usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it has a lot to do with temperature and all that. You know, if it turns off and gets to 65 degrees, bass more 65 degrees is what I think.
Warmer.
Just a little bit warmer. But if it turns off real warm, they'll all
Yeah.
spawn at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, on Truman, we have dirty water. I'm just curious, have you ever been able to sight fish any big females off of Truman?
I don't look for them that much
Yeah.
because I like to fish the dirty water. But I probably only caught 2 fish since 2001 on the bed that I actually seen. And believe it or not, it was in June.
Yeah.
They were actually on a bed in June in a lower end. There's
Yeah.
been a lot of high water and current just messed up lake.
Yeah.
And we were fishing along and seeing this lay down and just seeing this big bright spot on this lay down. I said, man, that looks like a net. Flipped over there and we just watched it come out and boom.
Wow.
Ate the jig and nailed it. And it was a spawner. I mean, it was spawning.
How big was it for the big one?
It was about 4 pounds.
Wow.
It already done its business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty wild. That was it. But we don't
Yeah.
do too much sight fishing. You could.
Yeah.
Now, I know people that sight fish, especially if you want to have fun and just go catch fish, and people don't like it, but take advantage of these tournaments releasing all these fish at these marinas. You go there during the spawn. I mean, they released freaking 500 fish there,
Right.
and they all spawn right there in that one pocket. You can go sight fish there if you want to practice sight fishing.
Yeah. Well, I know. I don't think the biologist is planning to shock for bass this year, but they did last year in those first couple of pockets up from the visitor center around the corner.
I don't know nothing about them pockets.
Well, I'm just telling you. We've talked about it. It's not. It's on the website because we did an article on it. He had. Now, it wasn't very good numbers, but it was decent quality. This was last year.
That's where all my fish come from.
Yeah.
Was that pocket.
Yeah. Okay.
Right there.
Yeah.
And there was probably 35 youngsters in it. So I know that they caught them too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did talk to some of the youngsters before, and I say youngsters, I mean some of them are high schoolers, but there's a lot of young kids.
Yeah.
But they caught them real good. I had one kid tell me he caught a 610 off that stump the day before in practice.
Woody.
I was like, well, that's a good one in the back of my mind. I'm going, man, I wish you wouldn't have caught that.
Yeah.
Sure looked good in my life.
Yeah.
But no, I think they bit really good for them in practice.
Well, and honestly, I think when it comes to shocking bass on Truman, around those Sterrett Creek Islands, when the lake is up, there's really no other spot. You can't get up in the arms and shock. There's too many trees. And so down in that area is really his only option. And
there's a lot of tournaments out of Sterrett Creek.
Yeah.
A lot. Probably majority of the tournaments are out of Sterrett Creek now. So there's a lot of fish there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They get a lot of fish get released there. And plus, it's probably the most fertile water. There's more shad there. It's clearer. It's just better water quality.
Yeah.
There's always some current there usually.
Yeah.
So, it just sets up good for them. It's a lot of rock.
Mm-hmm.
The bass numbers are down. There's no doubt in my mind that they're down on this lake. I don't know if they can't stock them or just don't stock them or won't stock them. I don't understand it. It's a pretty big money deal.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly, I know we're stocking a lot of spoonbill, but I don't know that we need any more with this live scope. I see.
No, we got spoon.
We don't need to shock them. There's millions of them out there.
Yeah.
Truman in the next 3 or 4 years is going to turn into one of the best spoonbill lakes there is.
Pretty good right now.
Yeah.
Because everybody goes below the dam, and there's no trees down there, but that lake is full of them.
Mm-hmm.
Big ones.
Great big ones.
Well, and if you want to live scope him, Hunter, who couldn't be here tonight, he's been busy.
He's been busy. I had a trip out last Saturday or Sunday and had 4 guys, and all 4 of them on Truman Lake live scoping had their limits in about 3 hours. And I think the biggest one being about 90 pounds.
Yeah.
Seen a bunch more fish, but they cut their limits and we're done.
Yeah.
It's pretty good on Truman Lake. Never seen nobody else snagging.
Yeah.
And have 8 good fish. I come in the cleaning station. They had them laid out, and they had all the guys around it, and it looked like they're slaughtering hogs. I just walked in, I walked right back out. I knew they was going to put me to work.
Yeah, right. Well, and like you said, it's very unpressured. Hunter, he just goes out of bucksaw a lot, doesn't he?
No.
Live
it's full.
scoping.
Yeah.
It's full. I seen a great big spoonbill today, and it took up a lot of my graph. I wished I'd had a pole just to caught it.
Yeah.
It's a good one. It is in the back of a creek.
Yeah.
Where it shouldn't have been yet.
Yeah. We saw some in the Tebow arm as well.
I followed one last year. It was in 3 feet of water up on a
It's
flat.
unreal what they do.
Great big, giant thing.
Yeah.
Just swimming along. It's waking. But I could see it on that live scope. I can see it play. You can see him plain as
You can see
day.
everything about him.
Oh,
I'm not on the lake nearly as much as you guys, but some of the times I've been out in the summertime on the Osage, they're coming up like whales.
and just jump.
Yeah, they come straight up and just fall over. It's like, I don't know if it's oxygen or what they're doing, but it's always in the summer.
Yeah.
About June, July. There's a bunch of them.
Palmy Arm has a bunch. I've seen them in there jumping. Jump right in front of your boat, and that thing landed in your lap.
That's what I was going to ask, if you've had any close calls on spoonbill coming in the boat.
I mean, not coming in, but
Hit
to
'em.
the side of the boat.
Yeah.
Get you wet. The
Yeah.
splash when they come down. Yeah. I've
Yeah.
had that. In
We
the
were
summer.
running one time, and I heard I was actually a passenger, and my partner Doug was running the boat, and all of a sudden the boat would like, oh crap, we hit there. We're out in the middle of the lake. Turn around, just a big old blood. Spoonbill.
Spoonbill.
Then got us
Jeez.
the spoonbill, ground him up.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of them.
Now, one of the things about the spoonbill, I don't know. I've eaten it. I'm not. It doesn't really do it for me. I think smoking it sounds like is probably the best way to do it. Had a buddy of mine. You can keep the caviar or the eggs if you take the fish whole back home. If I understand correctly.
Ick.
I tried it. It wasn't bad.
You did try it?
Yeah, they did it up because there's a preparation process, and put it on a saltine cracker.
2 bottles of hot sauce.
Yeah, that definitely can help. It really wasn't bad though. You add salt to it, and it I don't know. It doesn't. It's just got a really soft texture to it, so it's not like it's ooey gooey. And the cracker adds some of the needed texture.
Bunch of cracker.
Yeah. So kind of interesting, but you got to be careful because a lot of folks get in trouble. You cannot clean the spoonbill and then package the eggs separately at the lake. If you are going to keep those eggs, you have to take the whole spoonbill with you back to your house, and then you can harvest the roe out of it.
Bring a cooler, put it in a cooler, put it on top of your car.
Yeah.
You don't want it inside.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Things
cooler will
stink.
blow off for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you was talking about smoking a spoonbill. I had a guy 2 weeks ago had caught one, and he cut it out like a tenderloin. Looked like a tenderloin. And he smoked that. He brined it and all the stuff. And he brought that in. And he sliced it just like you would a piece of tenderloin. And that was, it wasn't even like fish. It tasted like tenderloin.
Really?
It was different texture, different color. I would like to take that smoked after it's done. When he slices it, I'd like to take that home and blacken it like I do my crappie. Oh, I think it'd be excellent because it does not taste like fish and it's not nasty.
That was one of the things last year because my dad caught several. He went out with Cody and with the we fried it several different batters, and it was the texture. It was real rubbery and
This was
chewy.
This was like, this is
Alligator.
good.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't for me. I was like, blah. So not.
Some people love it.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, they die for it.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, interesting stuff.
I got a good drum report too.
Oh yeah.
We caught the fire out drum. You throw that jerkbait on a bluff end on the main lake, and I mean, you get on the right spots, you can load them up.
How was the size quality on those
They were
little
big
drums?
ones.
Did it get you a check?
They didn't get us a check. If we could have weighed the trash fish, we would have won that tournament.
Yeah, yeah. Because you caught some white bass too and hybrids.
White bass, hybrids, and drum.
Yeah.
And the smallest thing we caught was largemouth, which is what we were fishing for.
Right.
But like I told you earlier, I fished with Richard's boys. I fished one crappie and one bass, and I just don't think they want to win.
They just want to go fishing.
They don't have their dad's blood in them. I think
Yeah.
they just like riding with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're their buddy.
Yeah, yeah, buddy.
Well, that brings up another good topic because we've had people that just kind of wonder about the backgrounds of our guys and our contributors and what their experience is. Obviously, you guys can go read their bios. We have the experts page where you can go read a lot about these guys. But people still ask, I mean, hell, I go out with Richard and you just sit there wondering, like, how in the hell is he this good? How did he get this good? How? I mean, tell me about just your history of getting into crappie fishing. When did you start getting, because you grew up around Table Rock doing a lot of bass fishing, if I remember correctly.
I grew up on Table Rock. I come here on a coon hunt's what I did. I used to train coon hounds, and the guy that built Bucksaw Resort, John Mangum, he was my guide. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but he put me to work. He wanted to hire me because he seen I was an honest kid. I was a kid. I was young. It was about 1989. Came up here, and I come from bass fishing, Table Rock. So I'm not going to use the word I use, but all these guys crappie fishing on Truman, I called them the P word. That's for girls. And back then, in 89, 90, 91, 92, bass fishing on Truman Lake was like pond fishing. It was very good. It'd take 25, 30 pounds to win a tournament. But then I learned after 5, 6, 7 years, and I fished bass tournaments and I won some good ones. But when I learned there's an art to going to crappie fishing and catching numbers and catching big fish. It's kind of like bass fishing, but it's crappie. Instead of going catching numbers, you put that toward catching bigger crappies. So,
Yeah.
Man, I just studied them and time on the water. And if I didn't even have a boat part of the time.
Yeah.
I'd beg anybody to take me fishing, and a lot of guys did. And I just learned, just on the water and just watching them. And before live scope, catch limits every day, whether I be rigging. I had a 360 that I was really good with, and I catch limits every day. But the live scope has, its technologies came a long ways. When I first started crappie fishing, I didn't even have a graph. I had the little Lowrance graphs, is about 4 inches. They didn't even work. Didn't need it.
Right.
Did not need it to catch crappie.
Yeah.
Just technology and paying attention and studying the lake. And I've been to a lot of lakes. You can look at my history. We've been to a lot of nationals. We've done really well. And I think there's one nationals or maybe two over the 20-some years that me and my partners fished that didn't get a check in. Now, sometimes we finished in the 30s, but there was a lot of them.
Yeah.
Lakes, plumb down to Florida. So we've had a good run and just time on the water. And people ask me about how do you catch crappie every day. And my answer to them, and I don't know how to put it into words, is think like a crappie. Man, honestly, that's it. I lay up at night thinking what I'm going to do tomorrow with this wind. You got a cold front coming, you got this, and it's hard to put into words how to do it, but
Yeah.
just go through the motions.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this, because like for me, I love to fish. I love to hunt more, especially turkey hunting. I mean, I will dream about turkey hunting and deer hunting.
Yeah.
I will dream about it.
Yeah.
Is that like when you go to sleep at night? Are you dreaming about crappie?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm dreaming or I'm still half awake. But I'm thinking about crappie because I'm already, when I go to bed at night, honest to God, I look at my trips, and I got 2 trips tomorrow, say. I'm already got my plan for the morning trip and the evening trip. And I know, used to, without live scope, I knew I could pull on this spot and catch 8 or 10 fish, this spot and catch 12 or 14, and then here I'll be done.
Yeah.
Now then, with a live scope, if you understand crappie and you understand Truman Lake or any lake, you don't have to be on Truman. Understand live scope, understand crappie, time of year, you can pull into one spot,
Yeah.
just like we did,
Yeah.
and catch your limits of fish and never pick that trolling motor up.
Yeah.
I don't like to move once I set up.
Yeah.
I have not moved. I don't know when's the last time I had to set up and fish and pick up a move, other than for weather. Today I had 2 trips. I picked 2 creeks, and they're probably 8-10 miles apart. Caught limits in the first creek, caught limits in the second creek. The first creek was in the front half, second creek was in the middle to back half. Different water. So just thinking like a crappie and letting your graph do a little work. I pull in and I down scan.
Yeah.
When I start seeing little dots, I shut her down, put the boat going into the wind, and start fishing.
Yeah. How old were you when you first caught a fish, you think?
Oh, sheesh.
Probably 2 or 3?
Probably.
Doctor was holding him, patting him on,
Yeah.
So.
trying to get him
Yeah.
straight.
Growing up, and I'd love to tell this story, not to get in trouble if I was at Table Rock now, because there was a dock down there. It was a Cape Fear boat dock, and we grew up pretty close to it. And my parents, my mom and dad, most of the time my dad, on Friday night, there was 8 of us kids, so we didn't have a lot of money. So we fished for carp. Didn't catch them, keep them. We caught them just for fun. So when that boat dock would shut down at night, dark,
Yeah.
the water was here, and the dock run parallel to the bank. So we're on the bank, and soon as you can sit and watch. The workers go up, lights go up, everybody's gone. So we'd take Wheaties, we'd buy a box of Wheaties and a big bottle of strawberry pop, and we'd make Wheatie balls, and they love them. So we had crimped them on and put a 1/4 ounce bass sinker and peg it up here. They're all gone, so we'd cast that as far as you can. Now, if you hit the top of that dock, go dunk, 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 and you start reeling, you hear it coming down and just let it fall in the water, because them fish were in them lights underneath them docks. Couldn't go on the docks.
Yeah.
But I could hit that dock. Long cast. And we would catch carp after carp, and that's kind of, I was very young. We'd line up on that bank, us kids, and you'd probably hook 20 a night and get 2 in because of all the cables.
Right.
And that's kind of what I started, was catching carp. Loved it. And I tell you, I still like catching them.
You ever thought about being a carp guide?
You can laugh all you want. One of my very first trips ever, guiding for John and Norman Jean Mangum at Bucksaw, was a carp trip.
Really?
Honest to God. The guys come in, they had all their fancy stuff, and the first day they had a bucket of soured wheat, corn, and stuff, and I took them out in my boat, and they put it in a slingshot.
Okay.
And I took them to a spot that they picked. Now, I'm not a carp fisherman from the bank. I just done it on Table Rock. So they hired me 2 days. First day's chum and hoe. So I took them to where they wanted to go, which is pretty close to Brandon. And instead of just going up there and dumping a bucket out, they slingshot it out, just like the professionals do on TV. You've seen carp tournaments, I'm sure.
I have not seen the carp
It's
tournament.
not here, it's overseas.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, they do it.
Okay.
So these guys, they're shooting this out, and it smells like hogs. What it smells like, nasty. So they're shooting all this, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
That was my day, was chumming that hoe. So I took them in. Second day, took them down there, and they wanted off on the bank. All their stuff, their chairs, their poles, their bobbers, everything that they wanted, and their chum. So I dumped them out, and I went and caught me a limit crappie. And I wasn't due to pick them up like at 4 o'clock. And I came back and picked them up. I never caught a fish.
Oh.
Got paid for 2 full days of fishing, carp fishing.
Yeah.
I never fished one time with them, other than chumming with them. That was it.
Well, and you just did your part driving the boat, and they
Done what
jumped
they
it.
wanted. Oh, they're happy, but they never caught a carp. Could have sit on the dock at Buxom. I guarantee you. Done it many a times.
And were they just wanting the thrill of catching them, or were they planning on keeping them?
They go around, I think, if I remember right, they went around all over and like to catch carp out of pond stuff, and they had fancy stuff.
They're probably
Catch carp.
probably the best fighting.
Yeah,
fish.
they're freaking fun.
studs.
Oh, I'd
They're
love
thick
catching
and
Catching
studs.
them on a fly rod is a big thing nowadays. So that's kind of wild. So as far as like influences, because it was funny, it was a couple weeks ago, one of your clients had called me about the website. He was having trouble logging in, and he's like, yeah, I'm coming down to help Richard figure out his live scope. He was having some trouble. and he was dead serious. The sarcasm, it was dry as could be, and I was like, really? So this is the guy that Richard, yeah, because you always kind of wonder who does the guy like Richard go to, and this guy was dead serious, and he just started laughing. And he goes, "No, dude, I'm pulling your leg," and he had me.
I got that guy on a 10-year plan. That's what's going to take. Today we had this honesty come in behind us, and I've been using this boat. Great guy, and I guide him 14 to 20 times a year. Great guy, just by himself, never keep a fish. So he pulls in before me, and I'm fishing, and we got 20-some crappie, and we're getting close to the midway back the creek. He says, "Juan," and the old man beside me said, "What's he talking about?" I said, "Well, he caught his first fish." But he don't understand his life story.
Yeah.
He's going to, but he don't yet. He don't get to go
Yeah.
like I do.
It was just funny, and I was like, "Gosh dang!" Because
He comes in the cleaning station and says, "Boys," and he just walks in like he knows everybody. He said, "Boys, I taught Richard everything he knows. Nice fish. I hope you went to the spot I told you. See you, boys." He does it all the time.
yeah, oh man, that's so funny. Well, that's really cool. And Darren, I'm kind of curious what your background, because you fished Truman for a long, long time as well, and won some major tournaments here and beyond. And I was kind of curious, kind of your background in fishing. What brought you to this area? Did you grow up here? Who got you into fishing? All that kind of stuff.
Well, I was born and raised not very far from here.
Uh-huh.
Chilhowie, matter
Yeah,
of fact.
yeah.
Big town of Chilhowie.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I grew up fishing farm ponds with my dad. That's all he'd fish, was farm ponds. We didn't have a boat or anything. And then we finally got a little rich line with a 5-horse tiller arm. We used to go down below the dam and try to get up that thing with all 4 gates running, which was a challenge with a 5-horse.
Yeah.
You had to help paddle.
Yeah.
But we grew up catfishing, and my dad, the one thing he done when I was little, he never believed in big rock, big hard, heavy tackle. We always used ultralights. It didn't matter, catfishing in ponds. I remember taking a crappie hook. He'd always make up some concoction and put little pieces of styrofoam in it. They're sponge, not styrofoam, sponges, and let it soak. And he'd put that hook through that sponge. And we go to them farm ponds. You cast that thing out there and just hang on to your pole. And pretty soon, boy, you catch them 5 to 7 pound channel cat all the time. We did that. And that's what taught me how to fight fish.
Yeah.
And which was a good thing. But I was a little bitty, and when I was 15, I bought my first boat before I had a vehicle. I didn't have no way to pull it, but I had a boat. And it was a Ritz line with a 20-horse.
Okay.
I mean, I was uptown. But I just fished around, catfished and crappie fished. I didn't have a graph or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, if it got too shallow, when I looked back and I was like, hey, we're not floating no more.
Yeah.
We're pretty shallow. Just learned how to do that, and I played a lot of sports, so I fished all the time. I fished and played sports. That's what I did. I mean, that's just what I done all the time.
Right.
Then I got into crappie tournaments when I was in high school, and me and a buddy we got whipped all the time. And we finally got a check in one, and that kind of set me afire.
Yeah.
But I remember when I started bass fishing, Richard was still bass fishing. And I get whipped by him every day. Him and Fred Barracks. And Doug Schilling, Doug Long. And, there's several of them guys were all, studs back then. They could flat catch them. And I'd go out and maybe catch one if I was lucky.
Right.
And they'd come in with, back then it was 10 fish? 7, 10 fish?
5, 6, 7, and 10.
Yeah. They come in with all the fish and weigh 30 pounds, and you're like, wow. And I really got burnt out on it. Bass fishing's hard to especially learn yourself. We didn't have this.
Yeah.
you didn't have anybody tell you anything.
Yeah.
Bass fishermen are pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Usually, I get in trouble sometimes for talking too much.
Yeah.
But I finally had a guy call me. Well, I fished some pro-ams. That's why I started bass fishing. I went and fished Heartland Pro-Am.
Mm-hmm.
I fished on the amateur side, and I loved it. I mean, I drew a couple guys that were knuckleheads, but even the guys that didn't catch much, you still learn the lake. You learned how to do it. You learn what kind of tackle. And I just started picking up a little bit of tackle here and there.
Yeah.
And finally, I had a guy call me. I bought my first bass boat,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy called me, and Doug Schilling, and me and him started fishing together in 2001, and we pretty well hit it off when we started. I mean, we pretty salty,
Yeah.
and we won a lot.
Yeah.
Then we both started fishing pro-ams on the pro side, and Doug won 2 or 3. I finally won one here on Truman.
Yeah.
That's what and I thought, I was looking at that going, man, that's really not that big a deal.
Yeah.
But then I had a guy call me, Marcus Sikora. I mean, that guy's he's won more BFLs than anybody. Pro-Am. I mean, I think he's the top winner ever.
Mm-hmm.
He called me and said, that's a big deal. And I was like, and I didn't really sink in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started looking at all these guys that fished for years, them things, and fished hundreds of them and never won one.
Yeah.
I was like, and that got me fired up.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what it takes. I mean, just one time to get any kind of success.
Yeah.
And, not leave them and not lose them is two L's, but any kind of success, and, then you're hooked.
Yeah.
It's really addictive.
Yeah.
And then you'll just go all the time. And you're not going to win them all.
Yeah.
You're just not going to. And you're going to have years, you're not going to win any.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to catch hardly anything. And then the next year, you might place in every tournament and win 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But then you'll go out the year after that and not do anything. But it's a lot like golf or baseball or football. You get on a roll mentally, because there's a lot of mental.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I go practice, that's one thing about a lot of guys practice. Oh, I got to take off 5 days before the tournament. Like this tournament coming up, I practice Saturday.
Right.
Not the Saturday before. The Saturday before.
Right.
The Sunday.
The weekend
before.
previous. Yeah.
And it's if I practice, I don't necessarily go where I think I'm going to catch them.
Mm-hmm.
I think about it a lot too, but I do work every day. I build power lines.
Mm-hmm.
I work for BNL. My guys, if they're watching it, they'll say, "You don't do nothing."
I agree with you guys.
But so I work every day, 5 days a week. So, and I can take off when I want, but I just don't get to practice like a lot of these guys that are retired,
Right.
or do it for a living. That's their deal. But I mentally don't have to.
Yeah.
I sit around and think about it, and I'll go, okay, I think this is where I'm going to catch them.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep a log. I do keep logs. And
Where
anytime
you write it down, the
down.
weather conditions, what you were catching.
weather, lake level, water temperature, what I caught them on, water clarity, how deep the fish was.
You keep that in just like a Word document or a Excel document or something,
In a
or
book.
in a notebook.
In a
You
notebook.
handwrite it.
Handwrite it, hand wrote.
Interesting.
But then you can go back if you have a job or you can't go practice all the time. Because a lot of guys can't get off.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just go back, okay, the water to do this, hey, Saturday before, you could really get detailed and go, okay, the day before, had the temperature change, it was real cold, so the water temperature dropped. You can go back to that in that book and find a year somewhere where you're going to get close.
Yeah.
And it'll get you started in. But after you've done it a while, you kind of just start knowing where you need to start.
Yeah.
And go from there.
So, what are the chances we can throw that log up on Truman?
That would be. I've got bad handwriting. Probably couldn't read it. But no, there's a lot of. I had a guy tell me to keep logs on that stuff, and they're good to review. I don't do it as much as I should now.
Yeah.
Because after this tournament,
Yeah.
I went home and I'm like, the whole time I'm thinking, okay, what could I have done different to have won this? Well, I said, well, I freaking left fish.
Yeah.
That's the biggest no-no of everything. I mean, I caught all these fish, and I needed Sean, Richard's boy, to speak up and say, stay here.
Right.
That's what I do to Hunter.
He's not going to.
So I do to Hunter. I said, Hunter, we're not leaving. We're staying here. And Hunter will pound them right on out. But Sean didn't say nothing. I just kept filling full of, we're going to catch 5 pounders up. We're going up. And we went up. But it's just, you've got to get mentally, and that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And once you get started and you start mentally processing
Yeah.
everything that's going on, it's not going out and just fishing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not.
Well, you kind of hit on something that, like, long term with the website, something that I've always envisioned that I would hope the members would recognize and pick up on is that the history of the fishing reports on the website is a log, like exactly what you're talking about. And some of the guys that do submit their own member fishing reports, you get an entry into a free fishing trip giveaway at the end of the year, so you should do it for that. But they've told me they like it, getting on there and doing it just so they can go back and look at their own stuff. And you can go filter the whole website to year and day and month and species of fish and go back and see. And 2020, lake level is at 710. Here's some of the bass reports that was going on, type of deal. Here's what the tournaments were doing at that time. And so over time, it's great to have the recency stuff, but as we grow further and further into the future, you've got that history built up, and that's really cool. So saving a little bit of work for some of the folks having to do their own, but it is that's the whole point, is to be that
When
tool.
you're just going fishing, go to where you think they're going to be and catch them. But when you're fishing the tournaments, you don't want to go there and catch them. You think of places, all right, this is where they're going to be.
Yeah.
It's not where I think they're going to be. This is where they're going to be.
Yeah.
And then I might be able to catch them here. So you go to the might be able to. Mm-hmm. And then that'll make your decision if you need to go there or not.
Yeah.
But it's just, a lot of times, we're notorious for starting in the lower end and working our way up.
Yeah.
We've always done that. And there's been years where we said, well, that didn't work very good last year, so this year we're going to start up and work our way down. It's just, you got to just always throw a rhyme or a reason that you're doing it. But
what's one of your most memorable trips on Truman Lake, any species? Is there a day that stands out, whether it's a tournament or just a fun day of fishing? I know you've had a lot of unreal days, so it's probably hard to. But is there like a fish catch that stands out?
Yeah, the one that sticks out, and I'll never forget it. And I spent the entire year on holding the fish on the website page, Anglers in Action. And it was an 805. We weighed in a tournament. And I spent the whole year holding it, and I didn't catch the fish. My partner would not go up there and hold it. I kept telling him, they're going to want your picture. That is a giant.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't do it. And we caught an 805. And there's a lay down. And I know I say this a lot, but there is. You got spots.
Yeah.
And I threw a spinnerbait no less than 6-7 times down this lay down and reeled it right down the side of it. And it was in the spring. And he literally flipped a jig one time, made one little bounce, boom, and an 805. I mean, I threw that spinnerbait. I was like, my gosh, that fish just jumped. I was like, oh my goodness, it's a giant.
Yeah.
And when their eyes are big around as tops of that beer bottle or beer can, you're like, wow, this is a good one.
Yeah.
But that day was our most memorable fish, and it wasn't just because of that fish. We only weighed 4 fish that day and had 20 pounds, and I couldn't tell you how many we lost. Big ones. I think we both lost more than one over 5 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
And that was just a day unbelievable. Every time, we never got too many bites, but when one bit, it was a giant. But we fished that stupid tube a lot. And that is a fish catching bait, but it is a fish losing bait they ever made.
Yeah.
And it just, it's a lot of plastic and it's hard to get. That hook drove through it, but they were eating that thing, and man alive. I'll never forget that day because it was just unreal. Every place we stopped was a giant, and we just didn't get them all to the boat. But it was an unbelievable day.
Yeah. You guys had to have done. Did you win the thing or come damn
No,
close?
we didn't win it. We come close, but we did win big bass.
Yeah.
I got to hold it.
Yeah.
Got a picture all day. Got a picture.
Yeah.
I told him on the stage that I didn't catch his
Yeah,
fish.
yeah.
But he wasn't about to get his picture.
That's too funny. It is funny to watch some of the guys on the tournament pages that, you know, they just won the tournament. They got these giant bass, and they just got like this look of almost disgust on their face. I just never could understand
Get your money and
why
run.
they can't smile. Like, you just won. You caught this giant fish.
Honestly, everybody thinks it's fishing. You are wore out
Yeah.
after a bass tournament.
That's all mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so much, especially this last one, fishing in that 30 and 40 mile an hour wind all day. It just absolutely, you are blasted,
Yeah.
drained,
Yeah.
wind burn, and them guys they're just beat.
Yeah.
I mean, they're tired.
Yeah. I believe it. Richard, same question for you. And I know you got a lot beyond Truman, but I want to know Truman. And I know you do like 300 how many trips a year, so
I don't
Yeah.
much.
it might be hard to think
His
of
best day hasn't come yet.
Yeah.
He still owes me a guide trip. That's going to be his best day.
It was probably at a bass tournament. Me and a fellow by the name of Gary Lamb. We used to fish together and win a lot of tournaments back in the bass days. And I think it's a Bass World of Sports out of Osage Bluff. We went up to Bucksaw, and I was young, kind of a little punk kid. And I kind of knew where they was at. We was catching them on a little killer bee crankbait, and I mean just catching the far out of them. We had a good weight in the boat. Yeah, and it was a long ways from Bucksaw to Osage Bluff, and we was headed back. And
Was this when Osage Bluff was all the way up?
no, this is where it's at now.
Okay.
So we're headed back, and we had about 20 minutes of fishing time. I said, man, I think we can catch one right here across the Long Show. There's a couple of bluff pockets there, and this is pre-spawn or spawn pre-spawn time. So we pulled in there, and he's got on I think it's a spinner bait that's got a white blade and a chartreuse blade. If we're going around, and it's time to go, so I put everything away in his Ranger boat. I folded it had a collapsible net, and I put it down, put all the boxes, and it's time to go. And he said, and I'm not even looking up. He said, you might want to get the net. And I look up, and he's got a huge bass on. So we've got a good load in the boats. Man, I get that, and I get it in the net. And it was 850 something,
Oh, my
8.5
word.
pounds.
Yeah.
In the last 1 minute of the fishing time that we had to get back.
Yeah.
So we went back and won the big fish, won the tournament, and all this stuff, and I got to hold the fish too. I got to net it. But he caught it on the very last cast, and it was 8.5 pounds.
Wow.
Won the tournament.
Now, what was your worst day?
Of what?
Fishing on the lake.
Oh, I got a bunch of them. I can't tell you all that.
I can tell you mine. I was in a tournament fishing by myself in the Palmy. Had a good limit of fish.
Yep.
I mean, it was in the summertime too, so I mean, I had a shot to win it.
Yeah.
Knew it. Had a shot to win it, and flipped it open. The live well lid open to put another fish in. I was actually culling,
Yeah.
and my number 4 jumped out,
Oh.
and went in the water. It went
With your buoy?
with my buoy. There's a 4.5 pounder with number 4 buoy on it.
And you replaced it with a 2-pounder?
Yeah, little 2 pounder. So I lost. If anybody catches a fish with number 4 buoy,
It's
I
mine.
want my buoy back.
How long ago was that?
That's been a long time ago.
So if that fish is swimming around, it's probably the oldest bass that
Oh,
ever
yeah.
lived.
12 pounds. Me and Gary was at a crappie tournament one time, and at a big tournament, we had a load of fish. But we had like 10 fish in the boat, weighing 7. So we come in, I thought we had this many fish, and pulled into the gas pumps. Before they, like they are now, they turned the other way when John had the place. Pulled in, and the crowd comes around wanting to see what we're getting out. We didn't pull a boat out because we had that good a load. So I'm starting to get the fish out. There's still a lot of time left, probably 30 minutes left. And I'm getting the fish out, and this old man standing on the deck, on the dock, says, "Can I have all your extra fish? I want fish to eat." I said, "No, I really don't want to kill them. I'm
Yeah.
throwing them back."
Yeah.
So I get down, I've got 6 fish.
Uh-huh.
Threw all my other fish back.
Uh-huh.
I said, "Gary, I think I know." And I threw back big fish, thinking there's still 7 in there.
Uh-huh.
I'm 1 short now. We got a little bit of time. I know where we can catch a fish. Run down there, we catch little squeaker fish.
Yeah.
Had to wait in. So we won 3rd place.
Oh.
Should have won the tournament. Would have won it easy. And by throwing, because that guy was there and all the people wanting to talk, and I'm just throwing it back. I threw back 1 too many.
Oh.
Right at the gas stocks. If I'd have been on the bank, it'd have been all right.
Yeah.
I didn't pull a boat out.
Oh my word.
Dumb. And my partner would never say nothing. He wouldn't say a word.
Wow. That had to be a tough pill to swallow.
It was. I mean, I was.
You know, you get excited.
You do.
It's just like, you have that 10, 15 seconds when that big buck walks out or that turkey walks out. I mean, when you've got a good stringer, you are really juiced. I mean, like that BFL. I mean, I knew that one was going to be tough for anybody to beat me. I mean, and I knew it all day. And it's just, you're on cloud nine.
Yeah.
You're like, boat, don't break. You're thinking about all that stuff. Don't break down.
Everything
Are my live wells still running? Did I close the plug?
You say you're juiced up. I mean, is it to the point where, like, are you able to stay calm, or are you, like, kind of shaking because you're like, holy crap, this is it?
When you catch that big one, it's like live scoping.
Yeah.
And you're in that tournament, and you drop that bait down on that big one. I watched Hunter in Louisiana, and I'm not kidding. I'm gonna pick on him a little bit here. And was using 18-foot rods. The fish are real spooky. I mean, to his point, if you took a step in the boat, they spook off. If you closed the live well lid, they were gone. Well, we went to these 18-foot rods, which Hunter, he great big rod. He weighs 110 pounds soaking wet. The rod weighs more than he does. And the wind's blowing, so we got a 1-ounce egg sinker on it too, so we could get it to him.
Right.
So he put it on, and I'm not kidding, it was the biggest, and he'll tell you, it was the biggest crappie we probably had seen on live scope. It was a giant. And we followed it around all over the place. And he dropped on it about the 5th time, and that old fish turned like that, and that usually means game on.
Yeah.
And he turned and come right up on that minnow, and I mean, I almost had to hold the rod handle back there because Hunter was just like this. He was just shaking, and that fish turned on that thing, and that fish just sat there and looked at it, and he's just holding it. I mean, his eyes are great big, he's just shaking.
Yeah.
But I was like, "Are you all right?
Yeah.
I need to get your inhaler." But it's just exciting when that happens, and I know everybody's caught fish, but it's a lot of fun when you know you're fishing against the best there is, and you actually got a shot.
Yeah.
It's pumped up. That's why them guys do it on TV. I mean, it's a lot of money. Too. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of money, but a lot of guys don't do it for the money either.
Yeah.
$3,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that's not to a lot of people too.
Yeah.
When you're buying a $80,000 boat, and they have more tackle in one box that costs more to win. They're doing it for the bragging rights more than anything.
Right.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
It's for us fat people that can't play basketball anymore or baseball.
Try to win a crappie tournament.
Try to win a crappie
Right. Hey, there's something to be said for that. There's a lot of kids that can't play D1 or varsity football, but they have a passion and they can compete. And so I think that's pretty cool. I mean, the high school deal, I wish they would have had that around when I was in high school 15 years ago. Yeah.
I'd have flunked.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's just really cool the opportunities that the high schoolers have these days in Missouri to and beyond to not only compete but win a lot of scholarship money.
Correct.
It's just really, really
Well,
cool.
they need to thank them guys with the boats too.
Yeah.
Man, that's a tough old day, I guarantee it, on them guys. Especially the other day, fighting that wind, letting them kids fish and out there all day and not putting a pole in your hand.
And I guarantee you, a lot of them people with them boats that drove that boat does not have kids.
They're not kids.
They're just doing it as a good gesture.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah. Really neat. Is there high school crappie stuff going on like there is bass?
No.
I wonder if that'll ever catch on.
I wished it would.
Yeah.
Well, probably will one of these days. Crappie, it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Bigger, yeah.
I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You win a lot of money crappie fishing now.
Yeah. There's some good tournaments here on Truman, and even though we're kind of in a downturn on the bass, there's some really cool tournament. I mean, Toyota Series is coming. There's a cool one. You and I were talking about it last night. That it's called the World Fishing Tour. We've been doing some posts about it. Coming at the end of April, and it's a guaranteed $20,000 prize pool on Championship Sunday. It's kind of a neat. I think it's kind of modeled off of World Series of Poker, the way I understand it. There's 4 days ahead of time that are. They're all called day ones, but they're basically qualifying events. And if you finish in the top 20% of one of those days, boom, automatic, you're into Championship Sunday. If you're in that top 20%, your entry fee for that day, that's it. You're not paying another entry fee into Sunday. And then, if you finish just out of 20%, they're usually paying first, second, third, fourth place. And if third or fourth isn't in the top 20% on one of those days, You cash a little bit of a check. You can put that towards your next day, and
You can keep fishing until you qualify.
yep, exactly.
Is it? And I need to read the rules. It might be where you fish all of them. Do you automatically qualify?
That I don't know.
I don't know either. I'll have to read that.
That I don't know. Now I do know the entry fee is fairly high, but you're talking about fishing for guaranteed $20,000. So that's pretty dang good little payday.
Guaranteed 20,000 is good.
Yeah, and if they happen to get
I mean, you've got enough tournaments on this lake this year, big ones. In June is all the big crappie tournaments are coming in June.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, if you don't want to be surrounded by crappie people,
Yeah.
don't go out in June.
yeah,
Because they'll be everywhere.
yeah,
But, I mean, I think a guy could win $150,000 pretty easy on this lake just in fishing the 4 or 5 big
Win,
tournaments.
yeah,
I mean, Toyota Series will pay 50.
yeah.
Even
Yeah.
a non-boater side of, if you want to learn how to bass fish,
Yeah.
that's where you do it. If you want to learn how to bass fish Truman, save the money, pay that entry fee,
Mm-hmm.
link up with a boater. I'd link up with them if they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to, but link up with a boater and go out. You're going to fish 2 days guaranteed with somebody that's a pro
Yeah.
that's been doing it a long time. I'll
Yeah.
probably be the most inexperienced one there. But and if you qualify, I mean, you're fishing for a new boat
Yeah,
for that entry fee. I mean, I think the non-boater first place is a boat.
yeah,
Pretty good.
yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up here on Truman Lake, and obviously we're going to be covering it, and these guys' expertise is second to none, and we appreciate them tremendously. Fishing's looking like it's going to be real good here the rest of the month.
Oh, it's on fire
And turkey season's about to start. So
for some people.
yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, we were shocked. I mean, we were up there in the mid Upper Grand, and I mean, it was pretty calm. We didn't hear a gobble, but it's been kind of tough around Truman the last couple of years.
I've not heard, seen. I've probably heard 3 or 4 birds all spring.
Yeah.
Used to, I could sit at the boat ramp and hear 5, 6, 7 birds, nothing.
Yeah. Well, and for those of you that are turkey hunt and hunt in general, a lot of our members do, you probably know that turkey population's been down quite a bit the last 5 years. Truman had a massive flood in 2019 that pretty much wiped out any type of nesting going on around the lake, and combine that with COVID hitting in 2020 that opened the floodgates of not only residents but also non-residents coming into the state, because we were one of the only states to not shut down for non-residents. You had unreal pressure in 2020, 2021. All was a perfect storm for doing damage on those turkeys. It might be a couple years before they recover. There's still some around, but you're going to have to work for them and maybe scout a little extra and get there a little earlier in the morning, figure out boat ride, get there by boat before someone can walk the way back in there. But next Monday, opening day. So
A day.
we'll see. We'll look forward to that. And, they call it, I think it's the Grand Slam in the spring. And it's not really a Grand Slam because it's only 3 things, but it's catch a crappie, kill a turkey, find a morel mushroom.
And they're finding a few of them
Yep,
now.
they are.
Tomorrow should be good.
Tomorrow
Yeah.
will be good.
Yeah.
If you're going to take off work, tomorrow's
Yeah.
the day to do it.
Yeah. I think the true Grand Slam is do all 3 of those things and find a shed antler in
Same
the
day.
same day. Same
That could
day.
happen.
Yeah. Missouri Spring Grand Slam, that's the goal. But anyway, lots of fun tonight. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to be back next month, just like we are every single month, and we really appreciate Darren and Richard for being here. You can, of course, get a hold of Richard if you're wanting to book a trip. Richard Bowling's Guide Service. I've got his number memorized. It's 660-351-5361.
Correct.
Yeah, I write it down in those reports an awful lot.
I don't even know my
Yeah,
number.
so I probably knew your number quicker than I knew Sammy's cell phone number, and we've been together 5 years. So, anyway, so if you're looking to get on a trip with him, you can give him a call. You're gonna go catch the heck out of fish. So maybe go kill a turkey in the morning the next couple weeks, and then go out on an afternoon trip or something. So, with that, we appreciate you guys watching. Thanks again to Nini's Italian Steakhouse and Catering and Anglersport Marine. If you guys have questions, stuff you guys want us to talk about in future episodes, shoot us a message, send us to Facebook page, hit the contact button on the Truman Lake Fishing Intel page, and we'll do our best to cover as much as what you guys have for us as we possibly can. Stay tuned for a lot of great reports. We're April 12th. I think we've already got 25 fishing reports up for the month. It's getting to be that time of year where we're going to be pushing 40 to 50 fishing reports a month covering crappie, bass, catfish hybrids. Catfish is good, by the way. Tebow arm, grand arm, shallow, 3 to 6 feet, windy flats, man. Get on them. Fresh cut shad, you're going to catch fish. But we're going to get into that. You're going to start seeing more hybrid and white bass fishing reports here probably into May is when that kind of stuff, mid-May, starts picking back up when guys are starting to go after those again. So stay tuned for that as well.
They've been catching walleye too.
Yeah.
That's kind of getting towards the tail end of that.
Yeah. Down below the dam.
Below the dam and in a lot of the creeks.
Okay.
It's not on the Truman side.
Yeah. So there you have it. A lot of fun stuff to do. Great time of year to be on the lake. We look forward to seeing you guys down here, and we'll look forward to catching you on the next one. Thanks for watching.